Good morning, guys. The market won't stop. It just keeps going, right? Who would have thought? Definitely not me. I mean, not this fast at least. Wanting some more downside here in between, but no downside for me. And now, as discussed yesterday, we're right here between this resistance, this point right here. We're holding above it. As long as we hold above this point, that's nothing but strength in market. You cannot ignore this kind of strength, right? So market nothing but strength, and now obviously we have these two big zones where we got rejected last time, right, on SPX, and the highs of these candles were respectively 45.90 and 45.95, so just around the 4600 mark. And the most important level happens to be 4600 now, right, from 4400 to 4500 to 4600. So 4600 will be the key resistance, right? Personally, I'm sticking to my scalps, right? I think they're working great. Mostly winners, 1-2 stop losses here and there, and I'm just trying to short scalp at strong resistances, and then let's see how far this rally goes and where we take a breather, and when we do take a breather, right? So 4600 will be the first key resistance, and then above this we do have 4616 as well, and which happens to be SPY 460ish. All right, and Saxio said they said 464. There's nothing above 460. There's nothing until 464. So if you're reading the chat right now, so that's also a possibility, but that's a very big move. So let's see how it goes. And VIX is below 20, right? It's under 20, and then we have call control over put control. Last few months, not few, or a couple of months, puts were controlling the market, but now call flow is trying to come in. The call wall strikes are moving higher. If you guys go in the gamma report that I posted in pre-market, very basic to understand, just read it once or twice, it will make a little bit more sense. And the market is strong, is holding up, and is nothing suggesting only higher, right? And then we got geopolitical Russia-Ukraine news, which are giving in a lot of positivity right now. So let's see what stands true until we don't get a negative headline or something in the market, or we see some bearish flow come in. The market is holding, cannot ignore the strength. Don't just look for downside plays only. Change, adapt with the market, and then play accordingly, right? One sector that is in play today is the chips. SMH, we'll go over some chip names after, but this is my take for SPX. Nothing complicated. As long as we hold above this zone, is nothing but bullish for now, right? For the coming weeks, coming days, however long it lasts, right? And the day we break these levels, then we'll reassess. We'll see where we go from there. All right, and VIX, if we were to go, let's just compare this with VIX quickly. One thing that we have been telling you guys on the daily, so VIX last time was this low, was 27th of December. This is a weekly chart actually, so let's just go SPY weekly as well. So on SPY weekly, just something to compare, just to know these things, right? See how they're working. So last time we were under 20 bucks on VIX was 10th and 3rd, or this 27th of Jan. Roughly right here on the left, you guys can see we were near all-time highs. All right, so VIX has come down a lot, but the market has not gone up a lot either, right? So I don't know if you guys understand the correlation here, because next time VIX does pop above these levels, if it does, right, in the coming weeks, coming months, then obviously this is going to take a much bigger dump. All right, so just keep these things in mind, how they might play out. So it's something to keep an eye on for the coming weeks and months, how that plays out. It always helps. On the weekly also looks bullish. And some names that I want to go over first is the SMH sector. Chips are in play. I think there's a bill that was passed or is in talks to be passed. I posted the news, and I think we should get something on those today. So SMH, as long as it continues holding about 278, 279 area, this can definitely see upside. We're above the 50 and 200 MA. A golden cross is forming if you believe in it, and this can definitely see back to the highs. And on the weekly, we do have resistance above these levels though. There is selling about 284. So SMH, the chip sectors might have some fuel in them to run, especially Nvidia. It's already up a lot pre-market. I actually wanted to play Nvidia today to the upside, but it's up $8 or $9 of pre-market. So do I want to chase it here? I don't know, right? Maybe the best thing to do here, if you're bullish on chips or Nvidia, right, is vertical call spreads. Vertical call spreads, right? So basically you would, if Nvidia comes and fills this gap on the daily, I would probably buy a 275 call or 280 call and sell 5 points out, right, or 10 points out. All right, and that will, you create a bear spread, your option prices comes down by more than half, And then as long as Nvidia holds above these mid levels, if you buy a 275 call, and let's say you sell a 285 call, as long as Nvidia holds above like 279, 278, you at least break even, right? If the stock does not move up in case if it consolidates. Let's not ignore the fact that the market has ran a lot. Eventually it needs to take a breather. When does that happen? I don't know, because right now what's happening in the market, people feel that it's just going to continue going up. So if I go on the daily chart, people feel that it's just going to continue going up and it's not going to stop, right? Not every stock is Tesla. Tesla's a different breed. It's approved in the past, but don't be stuck with this. That's just going to go up only. All right. If you have this bias, I mean, maybe it does, but then you're gonna get stuck buying calls somewhere, and then the stock's gonna go chop mode. It's not gonna do much, or something like this may happen, and your calls lose a lot of value, right? So that may affect your trading. Now, if you're somebody that caught this rally and you made the profits here and you're rolling out, the best way to do that would be just a little math for you guys, just so you can protect your gains according to my experience. If you started with 1,000, just an example, you brought your account to 1,500, I would put a stop or lock on my account at 1,250, right? I would only use 250 cash to make trades, right? So let's say something goes wrong or nothing happens, at least you're still up 250 or 25% on your account from the rally, right? So I would only use these profits. I would not use all or most of this amount, because one trade goes wrong, you're gonna end up giving back a lot of gains. You can make 5 great trades, 500% trades, and be right on them, but that one wrong trade that you might do will take away all your gains if you're heavy in it, right? I've experienced that many times myself in the past. Every human makes a mistake. So if that's a mistake that you make, you can be a great trader. Most of your trades will be right if you put the work in, but your position sizing, if it's wrong, it's going to be very hard for you to stay net, right? Because you're going to be hitting a lot of trades, but that one trade you end up going heavy in sometimes may not work. Right, and another thing that I want to go over is DAX. So we spoke about this right here when it fell, and this we went over this right on these days. If you guys remember that this needs to be held, this support on the daily, and it held. It came back up, then it bull flagged here for the last 1-2 weeks. Now DAX has gone up, it ripped with all these Russia-Ukraine news is going up, and it's up a lot from these lows. Right, that's also bullish for us. But one thing that I do want to point out here today is that it's also approaching resistance levels right here, right? And we don't want any negative news out of Europe at these resistance levels. If you guys notice that we get a lot of negative news or positive at certain key points, certain support or resistance points, right? So right here around 15,000, we don't want some major headline that might mark the short-term top of the market again, and then we dip and retest again. If DAX gets towards 15,500, the American market should also rip a lot more then, right? Because the war was in Europe, not in the USA, remember that, right? And then obviously all these supply chain, other issues that come in fact, right? And pins, I wanted to buy options yesterday on this name, but just for safety reasons, I said to myself, why buy options? I'll take a $1 downside risk on equity. So I bought some equity here. It's just trying to get through this 50 level, making a nice little base here. As long as a pin holds above these $24 levels, I think I'll hold on to my equity because the risk reward is in my favor. If it does not hold on to the $24 level, I'll take that $1-2 loss. However, if it gets through, the rewards are much more. The ratio is in my favor on this equity play. Right, so just keep that in mind. So that's why I bought pins equity, and let's see how it works. Pre-market, there was an article yesterday that they downgraded the stock, or they cut down their rating. Buy rating is still at $30. I forgot who it was, but they cut down the rating. So I think their price target may have been 45, 50 before, but now they cut it down to 30. So let's see. Maybe I'll just break even. So it was an equity play, nothing to lose, and let's see how this one goes. So pins is still on my radar. Twitter been acting great above the 50 MA. Just flagging here, looks like it wants to tag the $40 level. These names are great plays if you want to make some equity plays. You don't have to play options all the time. You don't. Like personally, I'm just trading a lot safe the last 2-3 weeks. Fast scalps, if they work, great. If they don't, I stop out, right? Or I'm doing some equity plays right now. All right, so Twitter is towards 40. I would keep an eye on this name. Boeing, I think it's a great setup. Just keep an eye on this name as well, because if everything goes well, this is one name that has been consolidating for the last 5-7 days, right? If you're listening and if you do Strangle, this is a name you can do Strangles on. It's been consolidating for the last almost 2 weeks now. If it gets through above this 190, 195 level, it can have a nice little $10, $20 pop. So options will pay a lot on this name. But again, buy time and see if it takes out this level right here, 192, 193. This name can squeeze. Keep an eye on Boeing. Boeing is one name that should be on your radar. McDonald's, Nice little rally. The only thing here is, I think somebody asked me to go over this, the 50 and the 200 MA, right? Just see if it gets through here. This will be a little bit of resistance, as you guys can see. There's a point from before right here. So this is resistance on McDonald's. Just give it a few days. I think it should bull flag here. And if it builds a bull flag here above the 250 MA, this can be played towards 255, 260 in the coming weeks, right? And who knows, all these sanctions that are announced on Russia, we don't know. Maybe after 2-3 months, they might be like, okay, McDonald's open again. All these companies are back to operations in Russia. We have no idea. If those news start hitting, these things are absolutely going to fly then, right? Just keep the, don't forget those news. Remember that. Walmart looks bullish to me. It's been holding these levels very well. As long as we continue holding about 145, we still keep building, and this name is going to go. Personally, my number on Walmart is 154 that I'm waiting for. 154 takes out everything, and then a nice little run towards 160 to 170, where the rollout plays will happen. Rollout meaning I will buy some calls. As soon as they double, I will lock in my profits and then play that trend to the upside and keep buying calls until it stops, right? So something like which Target may have done in the past, something like this, right? When you cash onto these trends and you keep rolling out your profits, buying leaves, there's a lot of money to be made, right? So Walmart above 154, the day it gets it, the trend is likely going to be our friend. And we can play this towards 160, 170, even 200. Walmart needs to make a big move. It's been consolidating for many, many months now. Home Depot is approaching support. I would not be shorting Home Depot here. Personally, I think it holds this support now around these levels. If it builds a base, in fact, I will look to play some call spreads to the upside in the coming days. So HT is setting up nice, I think. I think it's just going to build a base here. Let's see how long it builds it. It'll short a little bit of weakness, right? And now that's strong support, and I think we can see a nice little curl up in the coming days. So Home Depot, keep an eye on it. And then Google and Amazon are on the top of my list. I'm probably going to buy some spreads. The only question is, do I want to buy my spreads in this resistance, or should I wait for a clear blue sky breakout? Personally, I believe in options. You can buy them at any time. I'm not somebody that looks to catch options here right at the bottom, because every time, or most of the time I try catching bottoms, it usually does not work in your favor, or you don't end up holding. You end up selling after one green candle, right? So Google, I'm looking to play it. I want to make a confirmed play on it. I'm going to be looking at some spreads today, which will be on my watch list, but I'm probably going to execute them maybe end of this month or maybe the first week of April. The reason being is end of March for rebalancing, these names can be bought, and in April we might get a little dip as a gift maybe, or if in case the selling sell rates. And April first week I think will be a good time to buy some spreads on Google. So I'm not going to rush into it. Maybe I'll do them this month. I'll look for flow, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, March is almost over, so I'm not going to rush into trades, because end of month we might see some buying, and then we'll see what happens in April. And April by stats is also a very strong month. Amazon, same thing as Google, right? Let's see if I want to buy this end of the month, or do I want a little retest and then buy it in April, right? So I'm going to be looking at some spreads, long, nice little recovery here, and let's see what happens. Now this chart, if I compare it, it looks like Home Depot right here near support. Pay attention to this. This is Amazon right here, right? HT is somewhere right here. So if you miss some rallies, Home Depot is one name that you can probably catch, right? We might see a similar action on Home Depot in the coming days towards 347, 350. Right, that's a 50-point move if it works. So personally, I would buy maybe 4 or 5 weeks out on the HT, 30, 40 points out on options. It's worth the bet, I think. And it can probably do something similar to Amazon right here, a nice little rip, right? So just pay attention to this pattern, it might work. And Tesla is just non-stop. A lot of flow came in. We did call out the flow here. I played a little bit. I did catch Tesla to the downside, but to the upside, I did not catch it. Kimani, you absolutely nailed Tesla. Congrats. 1070, was not easy. We got rejected to 1040, the first retest, and now it left this gap. Is up. So now, personally, I'll be waiting if we do get this $1,040 level. Tesla gets 1040, I will try to play for a bounce. Right, so 1040 is still, I think, 50, 60 points away. It's up huge pre-market, and don't ignore this resistance here. And let's see how far it goes. If you're somebody that caught this rally, right, you're playing up here, it makes sense. If you did not catch this rally, you're playing from here to the upside, then it's probably because you're new in trading and you haven't faced reality, right? So don't get caught on tops like this, right? I mean, don't get caught on tops when something runs up a lot. Don't get caught on tops, right? So here you don't want to catch Tesla here. Next thing you see, it comes for a retest here, which is very possible. All right, and lastly, Tilray is on my list, right? We went over the June options on Tilray. That a lot of premium came in those, and the thing here with Tilray is it's actually holding up the gains, is bull flagging here. So keep an eye this week on the federal news. If the news comes, this name can pop towards 10-12 bucks. Even if you're playing equity on this name and you catch a $2 or $3 move, that's a 25-30% increase on your position. All right, so keep an eye on these names, especially Tilray. If the news comes, this can probably gonna go up a lot. RD run, nice little bit. I think I went over this, but it's basing good. I like this. The formation is making here is an inverse head and shoulder type of formation, right? As long as it can get through these levels right here above 32, 33-ish, I would probably play to the long side. If you ask me to play a run, I would probably play to a long side here. It is a strong support, right? On the weekly also as well. Tested the support right here, a nice little bounce. Something that you guys need to wonder, one thing I'll give you guys, many times in your life, you're gonna come across charts that have a huge squeeze up, right? And then they're gonna give up the gains back. But what you wanna have as your level or set an alert is these breakout levels right here, right? If they come and revisit, because usually they're gonna bounce off there for short term at least. All right, so run already has ran up here, and I would say at least it needs to hold above 32. So 32, it must hold above. If it breaks below 31.50, I would take out my stop loss and exit the trade, right? You want the ratio to be in your favor. You don't want this on the weekly coming like this and a base. All right, so 32 will be the number here. As long as it holds above, you can probably see it higher. All right, at least towards 34, 35. And just don't get stuck in these chops, because something like this can definitely happen. When these names give up, they come back, squeeze like this, and then they go much lower. All right, thank you guys. We will be on our premium voice chat, and let's look at. I'll be looking at some new plays. I haven't made some proper plays for a while now, so I'm looking at some good plays. Let's see. Just practicing a lot of patience as usual, and it works in my favor. I don't mind. But I'll see you guys on the chat. Manage well, position size, no grade.